Hello BookTube, and welcome back to my library tour 2022. I'm creating a visual record of all the books that I have, at least here in Little Book Room, as the year 2022 begins. And I'm going shelf by shelf, and I missed a library tour yesterday, and I heard about it from a great number of you people. So we're going to do two today. We're going to double up today. We'll do the last two shelves. I'm on the floor, so we'll do the last two shelves of this bookcase, and then it will be climbing back up to the sky for the next one. So first we'll do the sideways books. And the first one is this thing, Burkhard's Spinnin'. This is Books and Homage. Tiny little thing in praise of books. Lovely thing. I think it has woodcuts throughout. Yes, it does. It has woodcuts throughout, and it's just a series of meditations on books. As such, it absolutely does not belong in here. I know we're going to go through that all over again, but it does not. It does not belong in here. It belongs in the bookcase of books about books. But here, let me give you a view of the bean digging her way down to the center of the earth. Then we have an author I am trying to like. I have two of his books with extensive clippings. Every time anybody in the Critical Brethren writes about him, I clip out the thing, I read it carefully, and I put it in one of those two books. It's W.G. Sebald. And this is his book on the natural history of destruction, which is in rotten shape. I found it on the sidewalk one day when I was walking the beat. so I viewed that as a sign from on high, and I read it, and I liked it a lot more than I liked it the first time. And I have filled it with clippings about Sebald, and I will continue to do that. I have this, and I have Austerlitz, but I obviously do not have them together. Okay, then we have, let's see here. This is a little book, English Men of Letters. It's a series edited by John Morley. This particular volume is by J.A. Symonds. And this is a little sketch of the life of Sir Philip Sidney that I found in a trash bin. So it doesn't have any dust jackets or covers or anything at all. And it's not really, I have full dress, academic, responsible biographies of Sidney. This is more a meditation on him, and very good, very eloquent. Doesn't belong in here, obviously. I won't keep saying that with every book, but it doesn't belong in here. It's a biographical sketch. It belongs with the biographies. Okay, then we have, this is the Bones Classical Library series. They were pre-Loeb classical trots on works of ancient Greece and Rome. Usually fairly wooden in their English language translation, but often the only game in town, often the only version that you could find in a nice, handy hardcover. This, of course, was not the case with this author. This is Horace. This is their volume Horace by C. Smart of Pembroke College, Cambridge. Again, like the Sidney book, it's just a little meditation on Horace. It covers the basics of what we think we know about his life, but it's mainly the author just soliloquizing about Horace. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing wrong with this, as you can guess, as you can hear ahead of time, is that it doesn't belong here. I should have a shelf of non-Penguin, non-Loeb classical editions. I'm just looking right here, and I'm seeing Poets in a Landscape by Gil Hyatt. I'm seeing the Argonautica and the Trojan Epic. I could make a shelf of these things. I just haven't done it yet. That's all. Another shelf, I'm seeing Chapman's Homer, Iliad and Odyssey. Oh, where did the bean go? She's just wandering around back there. I asked her. I came in here. She was in another room. I asked her, I'm going to go in and make videos, and she got up right from where she was because she did not want to not be here. She did not want to be in a different room from me. So she's just wandering around in the bed. Okay, then we have a weird little book. This is the kind of thing you would only find at the Brattle Bookshop. This is by Hilaire Belloc, and it is Esto Perpetua. I don't know if you can make that out. Esto Perpetua, and it's got a lovely tipped-in picture there in the front. It's Meditations on Algeria by the writer Hilaire Belloc. Probably this is the original edition. Probably this book has had a long, long life. I don't even know. It doesn't say, but it has little black and white spot illustrations throughout, and again, it's just a question of it's a little ditty, really, not to be too condescending. It's just a little ditty. The reason why I have it is because I like the author's prose style. That's all. And that covers the transverse books, not only for this shelf, but for both the shelves that we'll be doing, because the bottom shelf doesn't have any transverse books. Not that any of you are paying attention to me. That's totally understandable. So the next book is really big. It's a big art book. I usually don't indulge in these, but this is an exception. This is a series from, I don't even know who does this, but they didn't do it just for this city. They did it for a lot of cities. This is the Art and Architecture of Venice. Big, thick thing like that is just full of color artwork of all of the statues and doors and bridges and paintings and frescoes, everything you could find in the city of Venice, and the ultimate guide really to them. So I got it and I brought it in here because those of you who might be new to the channel, I have a very soft fondness for the city of Venice. I have a lot of books on the subject. I love it dearly, and I go back to this because it's the most beautiful single book that I have on the subject that isn't weirdly huge or weirdly expensive or weirdly heavy. Okay, then we have a collection. This has original artwork and photographs. And this is a collection of nature writings by Ronald Rood from Vermont Life magazine. This is the Vermont Life Book of Nature. So you've got sketches, as well as, can I quickly find you a photograph as well? Yeah, as well as photographs of the state of Vermont, the beautiful state of Vermont. And with well-turned prose. The Vermont Life, I don't know if Vermont Life is still made, but at the time that this thing was collecting, Rood did really good work. It was a column. His column was worth reading, much as my own is, in the Bedford Times Press in Bedford, Iowa. Then we have by Ross McPhee. This is The End of the Megafauna, which is not a dinosaur book. It's the book you write after the dinosaur book. It's the book about the massive animals that came after the dinosaurs. Some of which were enormous. And some of which were oddly small. Here we have hominins killing a rhinoceros. All sorts of original artwork throughout here. This is the sort of thing I absolutely love. Books like this, absolutely love them. I'd have 100 of them if I could find them. And the next one is the same thing. Sort of the same thing. This is by Donald Prothero, a fantastic, engaging writer. And this is after the dinosaurs, the age of mammals. And you are probably not going to recognize either one of those creatures, but this has everything after the dinosaurs, all of the weird animals that we don't have anymore, as well as the cladistic ancestors of those creatures. Then we have an example where I rectified something. I noticed a while ago, maybe more than, hi Bean! I noticed more than a year ago that I didn't have this book, and you have to have this book. I have to have this book in a collection. It's Civilization by Kenneth Clark. I originally found a crappy trade paperback of this just because I wanted to fill the gap. And then I found this thing in as beautiful a condition as the day it was printed with a library dust jacket on it. So I grabbed it. This is his very personal survey of Western history and art that was the companion to the famous TV series. Really, really good. Even now, really, really good. Then we have Henry Marion Hall. This is A Gathering of Shorebirds. Slightly oversized and lavishly illustrated. There's a woodcock. A lavishly illustrated book about the birds of America. A delightful, wonderful bird book. You're not paying any attention to me, are you? Because a Wagner opera is going on over there on the bed. Then we have another book. We saw one of these weeks ago, I think, or a week ago. This is a series that I really, really recommend. This one is by Philip Matziak, and it's the Chronicle of the Roman Republic. And there are some famous figures from the Roman Republic, Marius and Sulla and Cinna and whatnot. And you've got timelines, potted histories, lots and lots of illustrations. This publisher, who is this? Thames and Hudson, did this series for a whole bunch of things. Chronicles of the Tsars, Chronicles of the Saints, of the Popes. And they're terrific, absolutely terrific. I have I think the only other one I have is Ancient Egypt, and then I have this one on the Roman Republic. They're not together, but I'm not going to stress that. I won't stress that. Okay, then the next batch of these here are all one person. They're all Helen Hokinson, a great New Yorker cartoonist from a bygone era, whose work I love. She's one of my favorite, probably my single favorite New Yorker cartoonist. We have The Ladies, God Bless Them. We have When Were You Built? Because that is a classic. That's what the two oblivious ladies are saying to a woman with an old seaboard house there. Helen Hokinson's ladies were famous for how wonderful and innocent and clueless they were. They are endlessly fun to read of. Then we have the Hokanson Festival, nice big collection. And finally, my favorite collection of hers, My Best Girls, which is absolutely delightful, absolutely delightful. I don't know that much of the humor here would translate, but it's fantastic. She is fantastic. Once you understand what she's doing, I think that the species of overendowed, stoat-wearing matrons of upper society, I think they are largely gone. Or if they're around, I don't think they associate with people anymore. I think they live exclusively in gated communities or on private lakes. But once upon a time, they were immortalized in the pages of the New Yorker. Then we have a graphic novel adaptation of Anne Frank's diary. When I heard about it, thought this is going to be excruciating. That is not. You can't mix that material with that format, and I was dead wrong. This is adapted by Ari Folman, and the illustrations are by David Polonsky, and it is incredible, absolutely incredible. It's whimsical and touching, and it will destroy you at the end. Just the way Anne Frank's diary does if you don't come at it through boredom or cynicism. And the choices all throughout here, the art choices all throughout here are just incredible. I cannot sing its praises highly enough. It's a magnificent, magnificent job. Okay, then we have the finished copy of something else that I sang the praises of this endlessly. This is also a graphic novel. This is by Will McPhail, the New Yorker cartoonist, and this is called In. And it's at one level, it's the story of a clueless young man who feels just the millennial disconnect from everything around him, even his own emotions, and is trying to figure a way in. He's trying to figure a way to feel something as opposed to simulating things, and that is reflected in his relationship with his mother, who becomes mortally ill in the course of the story. It's reflected in the course of his friends. It's reflected in the nature of his relationship with a young woman. It is amazingly good. I didn't expect it. I thought it would be more zillennial navel-gazing, but it is anything but. Again, I cannot praise it highly enough. Then we'll move on. We'll move on to the bottom shelf here. We'll start with this thing. This is from 100 years ago. This is... who is the author here? Lucius Beebe. This is Boston and the Boston Legend. This was de-accessed from the Tufts Library about a century ago. Got an opening artwork there, and you've got artwork throughout here as it goes through the various linchpins of Boston history. Then we have a classic of a kind, a cryptid classic, certainly. There aren't many of them. There aren't as many of them as you'd think, considering that there are hundreds of books on cryptozoology every year. You'd think that by the law of averages, more of them would be actually good books. No, most of them are garbage. I read them, but they're garbage. But this is by Robert Michael Pyle, and this is Where Bigfoot Walks, Crossing the Dark Divide. One of the only really good Bigfoot books. And so, believe it or not, I recommend. Then we have a big picture book. This is one of a pair that some of you will know. This is by Simon Jenkins, and it's England's 1,000 Best Houses. And you often see this in used bookstores if your used bookstore has a lot of good turnover. And it's a companion to England's 1,000 Best Churches. Only this is stately manners, humble homes, gigantic piles of wood, but also little hovels, little things that are very small and very graceful. And it's fully illustrated with color photographs. Just catnip for me. It technically doesn't belong here. Technically, I should have a whole shelf of books about English country homes, which is basically what this is. But I don't. I will be reorganizing this room. Then we have the Jerusalem Bible in the hardcover edition. Big, fantastic scholarly. I was going to say new. It's not new anymore. Big, fantastic volume of the Bible. I have many Bibles in this room and elsewhere in Hyde Cottage, and I love lining up the scholarship on all the different ones. Just love it. So when I found the Jerusalem Bible in hardcover, I grabbed it. And then we'll finish up with these two things, which you would think I would disdain as school books, but they are wonderful. This is the Norton Anthology of English Literature, Volume 1 and Volume 2. In the 4th edition. Much later than this, so you have the famous Queen Elizabeth portrait with her foot adroitly placed, and then you have a watercolor by Turner. And much later than the 4th edition, you start to run the risk of Twitter politics infiltrating your Norton anthologies. So you really want to look around for the 4th edition, the 3rd edition, something like that, that takes you through. These just take you through the whole course of English literature. And you get usually whole works, and you get great introductions and footnotes. There's a huge amount of scholarship that goes into these things. Yes, they are for schools. Yes, they were made with the school market in mind, but they are an amazing reading odyssey on their own. So if you see them, at a used bookstore somewhere or on a yard sale, and they're going cheap, and you think, oh, it's just somebody's textbook. There are textbooks and there are textbooks. These are terrific. So there you go. That is a 2-in-1 library tour. Now I have to figure out how to get up, and then we will be high up off the floor next time. Thank you, BookTube.